Whew, this took a lot longer than I thought. Hey, what is up everyone? I'm Tiana here, and I'm still a frog form, once again. And anyway, we are from the likes of the Maxi Toys videos, of course. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more of Let's Play of Klonoa, Moonlight Museum for the Bandai WonderSwan. So last time we have went through the majority of World 2 in terms of Vision Worlds, as far as how this game offers us to, and today we're about to be continue things on and move on to World 3. And as always, we're gonna go through the exact same 6 levels. Well, to be more specifically, we're still gonna go through 6 levels just like before, except now is the fact that we ended up on a different world and all that stuff. So either way though, and for what I've can gathered in journey forms of this particular Japanese text translation, I'm assuming the third world in this game was actually known as Laughing Prison. Because in journey forms of the previous part of this Let's Play, for those of you wondering, that the world we actually already explored onto is actually known as Giant Fort. So now we ended up in, of course, Laughing Prison. So because of this though, there's going to be a lot of weird drawings. So because of this though, hopefully we'll try to solve as many puzzles as far as we could, and hopefully exponentially, we would be able to actually complete those in time. So either way though, and I'm going to be honest for this point guys, is the fact that this is the reason why it took so long for me to able to actually get back into this game. This is probably because of a few number of reasons. For one, basically I do need some more time to able to figure out the puzzle solving for this game, and also is the fact that same applies to the fact that, well, usually relatively speaking is the fact that this is going to be changed uploading schedules this time around, because it's now going to be uploaded in the majority of the weekends. To be more specifically, Saturdays and Sundays in potentially. Although, not necessary for a long period of time, just because, well, it might be seems pretty obvious because of how the fact that October is almost getting closer at this point, well, to be more specifically, getting towards at the end at this point, and also same applies to the fact that Halloween is actually getting close by as well, so hopefully we should be able to actually just oh wait a second, we can't do trick-or-treating, aren't we? Oh yeah, that makes it pretty obvious. I'm sure that Mario and Luigi rather, did already point things out ever since in their Mario Kart Double Dash Let's Play. So, speaking of Mario Kart Double Dash though actually, is the fact that Mario and Luigi, they are practically almost nearly at the end of their Let's Play of Mario Kart Double Dash. So, expecting to believe about the fact that they're actually getting really close towards the end now, so that should be pretty exciting news, especially noticeable how the fact that, well, at this point we pretty much gonna able to wrap things up with any other Mario Kart series of Let's Plays so far, even though, mind you, there are 2 exceptions, which there are Mario Kart Tour, because it's like an endless kind of, you know, tour limited time kind of thing, and also same applies to Mario Kart Live Home Circuit because, well, I just don't feel like trying to include that for the sake of our Let's Play of any other Mario Kart games, because we're most likely focusing on the main ones, not so much the spin-off ones, potentially speaking, so. And God knows if Nintendo were able to make Mario Kart 9 exponentially, but we'll just have to wait and find out until at some point during the future times, So anyway, a few things we want to explain about this actually is the fact that recently, today, it is the forms of the 24th of October today, in this case in 2020. As I said before, that next week is going to be the Halloween for the sake of this year, potentially. Even though it's kind of a shame about the fact that the actual trick-or-treating stuff might be eventually going to be cancelled due to, you know, that we're not going to explain about that further details about this, because I'm sure most of you guys already know about this, because, well, it just gets pretty, well, you know, just kind of feels a bit, I don't know, overused, or in this case repetitive for able to mentioning about the forms of, you know, everything else around in the world so far, so there's no point for able to discuss on this right now. Just because, well, obviously we're finally going back into Klonoa game of all things, and then, yeah, that's how it goes, basically. So, I suppose another thing I should probably point things out right away, for those of you who probably look on the actual time link for the video link, as you can tell from the bottom part of the screen, this recording section only took me about 50 or so minutes. This is pretty obvious because of trying to solve as many of those puzzles later down the road, which I will still say is one of the hardest puzzles throughout the whole series of Klonoa games, because, well, obviously, since this is my semi-blind playthrough, as I said earlier, so at least I know some parts of the game, but at the same time, didn't exactly play it as much compared to, you know, the first Klonoa, as well as Klonoa 2, Lunati's Veil, and, well, a little bit in Empire of Dreams, but either way though, that's all I can really say about the majority of some parts like this. So, anyways, so now we're done with World 3-1, in this case Vision 3-1 I should say. And now let's go ahead and move on to the second level, and would you know it, we need to switch these different perspective now, so that way we can able to switch it over to horizontal position to the vertical position. Now, I'm presuming for this particular point, I'm presuming that this might be although I may be wrong, because it has been a very, very long time since I actually did manage to record something like this. Especially because of how the fact that, well, relatively speaking, because of how the fact that it has been a couple of days since I actually come back into this game, so anywho though, talking of which though actually, it's the fact that, there are some exciting things for those of you who are a big fan of the Fire Emblem series, despite the fact that I'm still not one of them yet, but apparently though, that recently Nintendo has just announced there's a 30th anniversary of the Fire Emblem game is being shown up, which turns out it was actually, of course, it's gonna be some sort of like an emulation kind of game, except the fact that it's actually on the NES of all things, which, it turns out, it was actually buddy forms of the one that started it all in terms of the Fire Emblem games, which appears to be Fire Emblem, Shadow Dragon, and the Blade of Light. First appeared on the NES / the Family Famicom. Basically, that game first released in 1990, in the 20th of April of all things. Jeez, time really does fly, doesn't it? However, though, it's only exclusive to Japan, which the only thing I do like about that particular trailer is the fact that since that someone else, or someone, managed to play Super Smash Bros. Melee, as in the forms of whenever they play as Marth, as well as Roy, but it seems to be more specific about this is that whenever they go into the trophies room, or the trophies option mode, basically they just manage to show us the actual text in the bottom, like, you know, with the actual game appearances and stuff like that. Like, to be more specifically, if you see Marth as in the forms of Classic Mode Trophy, that it does say Fire Emblem, and it does say Japan only, which actually explains about the fact that the first game in the Fire Emblem series did manage to first came out on Japan in 1990, so, and conveniently enough though, is the fact that this, you know, with the first Fire Emblem game, specifically, you know, the, Shadow Dragon and the Blade of Light, basically, the game itself is now coming over to the Nintendo Switch, and because of this though, they finally managed to got themselves the English translation, so because of this though, some Fire Emblem fans will be pretty excited, especially noticeable how the fact that in addition to able to first time playing through Fire Emblem the original game, that's for sure, but also you can play it on the go, and finally, perhaps even most importantly, is that obviously it's all in English translation. And for those of you the Americans out there, unfortunately though, the UK version doesn't seem to get themselves the collector's edition, if you will. So, luckily for America, they did at least manage to able to got themselves the, you know, the collector's edition, which contains a special art book, as well as a very old school retro looking, you know, Nintendo Power magazine, which I found is actually really cool, as well as the actual NES cartridge-shaped Fire Emblem and stuff like that, which I think is actually does look pretty cool. And, even though in the UK, as I said earlier, we don't seem to have one of these kinds of stuff, unfortunately. But, regardless of such, though, is the fact that I'm presuming that particular game is only gonna be exclusive until the Nintendo eShop, and thankfully it does have its release date, which I think it's going to release during at some point in the 4th of December, in this case in 2020, and it might actually cost about £5.39, so at least it's not that expensive though, unlike the ones how it does in a similar treatment as in new forms of, well, you guys should probably already know. However, though, there's going to be one major downside of that, though, is the fact that much like Super Mario 3D All-Stars for the Nintendo Switch, unfortunately, though, the Fire Emblem, Shadow Dragon, and the Blade of Light is going to be for a limited run, just like the forms of how it does in Super Mario 3D All-Stars during the forms of the 35th anniversary of the Super Mario Bros. Series. However, just like Super Mario 3D All-Stars, it's going to be ended until the 31st of March 2021. What is this, like the similarities all over again? Well, the possibilities were just like, well, I don't know, it feels a bit off at one form or another. Which reminds me, please Nintendo, don't do that for the Zelda collection at some point. Especially noticeable how the fact that since we are still hyping for the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild sequel on its way, during at some point in the future, but then next thing you notice is the fact that, well, I'm not a big fan of the forms of how the fact that in some situations where the certain games do have their limited run copies, which I understand with the forms of several quantities or something, even though it's kind of hard to explain about this sometimes. But exponentially, though, it's just the fact the matter is, though, is that if someone managed to able to actually miss out on certain things, please don't ever just try to go for limited run releases again, because I don't know what it is. It's just, I just have no idea why they just do this every now and then. But at least, thankfully, we still managed to get ourselves Super Mario 3D All-Stars obviously, for the Nintendo Switch, basically, for physical release anyway. So, and also, oh yeah, I forgot about the forms of the limited run release of, let's just say, Super Mario Bros. 35, and especially noticeable with, to be more specifically, I have no idea what I'm gonna do right there. I know it has been a long while since I actually done one of these, but even then though, I was able to get enough practice on certain puzzle segments like this. Although, conveniently enough, we have to use that cube right there and try to hopefully go up a bit, trying to land on that moving platform. That way you can progress. So, again, it does take a while to get used to with this though, but either way though, I did manage to get it in the end. So, either way. So now let's move on to World 3-3, which, this is another reason why there's been took so long to able to actually get back into this game. This level right there gave me a little bit of a troubling time whenever first time I played the actual stage, and because of that though, it took me a lot of hours until whenever I able to solve this correctly, so... But hopefully by that time, whenever we get on to World 4 tomorrow, I'm hoping that doesn't take nearly as long as World 3 is, but I'm not exactly 100% sure, just because, well, then again, that I've only just got started, so... Anyway though, yeah, that reminds me also, is the fact that the Super Mario Bros. 35 also gets a limited run, also as well, by the forms of the same day as well, and, also same applies to the Game & Watch Super Mario Bros. Handheld, which, either way though, it seems feels a bit strange to able to actually have this decision, because I just seriously have no idea how this is going to turn out to be. Especially noticeable how the fact that, well, for tons of anniversary stuff, likely during the forms of, well, for instance, for example, you know in the forms of the Sonic Generations game, that game was usually involved around the 20th anniversary of Sonic the Hedgehog? At least thankfully, that game doesn't have unlimited run, or the only time it's limited run is obviously the Collector's Edition, which contains, you know, the statue figure of classic Sonic and modern Sonic, and especially noticeable with the forms of, the DLC code for Casino Night Zone DLC pinball machine. And also, to top it off, is the fact that you get yourselves a documentary DVD, and also the music track album for your soundtrack CD, and also the special ring, and I think, oh yeah, the actual art book, which, what I've noticed something is the fact that speaking of the actual art book for Sonic Generations, some people complain about the fact that it's just all about, the whole thing kind of feels like a, big, search on Google Images and just slap it on the art book. I mean, usually, relatively speaking, that's why some critics might find it a bit, I don't know, it's kind of hard to able to say about this because I know for the fact that I haven't really searched upon any other anniversary stuff for quite some time since, obviously Super Mario Bros. 35 anniversary and stuff. But anyway, also to keep that in mind is the fact that also another example is that, I would say The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword in terms of the 25th anniversary of the Zelda series since 2011, although I'm pretty sure it does have two variations of that particular game, like one is a standalone and the other one contains the special edition, which obviously not only contains the game, but also the orchestral soundtrack or something. So, at least luckily I did manage to able to have that since 2012, despite the fact it was actually almost the entire year late for able to actually get that on day one or before its launch. Probably it's because of how the fact that I was into the forms of any other games potentially, most notably with, just getting distracted with our new, well, let's just say the Nintendo 3DS handheld, like specifically playing other titles like Mario Kart 7 and Super Mario 3D Land, and even especially notable is Sonic Generations for the 3DS as well. So, excuse me, and also, well, there's obviously the golden Wii Remote Motion Plus controller, which obviously it does look pretty cool. It's all like gold and everything, and that has also been sold out. So either way though, it seems, well, again, hard to explain, but either way though, that's not much else to it. So, also, as far as I've noticed something, is the fact that for those of you the bronies out there, I've noticed something that, obviously, as I mentioned this before, today's day is, of course, the 24th of October today, so this means, oh yes, you know the episode of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic? In terms of, let's just say Friendship is Magic Part 2, with the one where Twilight Sparkle, as well as her friends, must able to stop the Nightmare Moon by able to actually just utilize the elements of harmony and stuff like that. Well, that particular episode has been turned into, well, a decade old now. Since, of course, on the American country, in, well, obviously the 24th of October in 2010. So, wow, it looks like the actual time does fly, doesn't it? But anyway, and, we'll talk more about the forms of, well, I don't know about you, because of how the fact that, well, I'm trying to concentrate at this moment, just because, again, some puzzles might take a while to able to actually just to figure out and to try to guess at the same time, because, well, again, relatively speaking, this game is all about huge emphasis on puzzle elements, so, but I digress. So either way though, speaking of which though actually, it's the fact that, eventually at this point until specifically in next month, in November, Epic Mickey game is going to be a decade old. Until specifically, I don't know what the actual release date it was for America, but at least I do know in the UK release date for Epic Mickey, with the exclusive Nintendo Wii game. It just makes me want to question about that. Why did Epic Mickey just get remastered for the Switch? Because that utilizes the actual motion controls for paint and stuff. I mean, usually the Joy-Cons also has motion controls here and there as well, but usually I think it's probably because Junction Points has been, well, if I'm guessing correctly, it's been shut down or something. Well, I might be wrong, but then again, I've not exactly known about Epic Mickey for quite a long time. Especially noticeable because I've never actually, well, The only time I do play an Epic Mickey game was actually the ones on the 3DS, Power of Evolution, because it reminds me of so much of the Mega Drive days from Castle of Evolution and stuff. And similarly for the Master System games as well, you know, with the ones with Land of Illusion and stuff. So even then though, because chances are though, I've never actually, well, at least I did play a bit on Epic Mickey 2 back in Juni Forms of 2012, but after like, almost for 8 years or something, I've never actually touched that game since then because, well, I definitely heard some other reviewers out there saying about the fact that that game wasn't nearly as good as the first one, which might be seems pretty obvious because there are quite a number of reasons that why Epic Mickey 2 didn't do so well for reviews-wise, although it does have mixed receptions, but for what I can gather is that the Wii version is definitely the most comfortable version of the game. Although the graphics may look a bit worse than its HD counterparts, but you're still able to actually utilize the actual Wii remote to able to utilize the paintbrush and stuff. And also, as far as I've noticed, is the fact that the reason why back in the day that was, that if you remember in our Christmas 2012 unboxing videos that we've now actually got it up since 2 years ago, the reason why we choose the Wii version of Epic Mickey 2 compared to any other console variations, because mainly with PC, PlayStation Vita, PlayStation 3, Nintendo Wii U, and of course the Xbox 360. And the reason why we just ignore those versions is that I did look upon several other comparisons in between multiple platforms and stuff. Like, let's just say, for example, the PS3 version, while I obviously don't have the PS3 back in 2012, it wasn't until in 2014 that we did manage to get the PlayStation 3 due to Kingdom Hearts compilations. And also, it does have its PlayStation Move compatible controller, which unfortunately I don't think I just trying to able to actually just to talk about that, because it's just like the Wii remote and a nunchuck, except the fact that it's on, you know, PlayStation 3, so even then though. And also I've noticed there are some frame rate issues on the PS3 versions, and then same applies for the Xbox 360, and don't even get me started on the Wii U version of the game. Because I definitely heard some interviews on that, is that the Wii U version does have some worst frame rates, which even then though, it just really chugs. Like, seriously, just chugged full of the forms of frame rate drops. And yeah, that's why I'm intentionally ignoring the Wii U version, because, well, obviously the frame rate just actually sucks. Although I was originally planning to get on the PC Steam, but of course I don't even actually access to PC Steam. It wasn't until recently that we've now actually got the account for the PC Steam, even though I'm trying to able to save it up for specifically Sonic Generations for PC, because, well, relatively speaking, I actually enjoyed Sonic Generations for the 360 as well as the PlayStation 3 versions because, well, I simply enjoy the game. So, and I think our mod's able to get that game again, but this time around though on the PC Steam version, because it has a really good frame rate, specifically 60 frames per second, and also no loading times, which, to me though, I think is just a really good, well, let's just say almost a perfect, well, definitive way of playing Sonic Generations as a result. So, anyway, and also I noticed something is that on the PC version of Epic Mickey 2, The Power of 2, unfortunately though, for those of you trying to able to help out, let's just say like, you know, adding 2-player mode, like most other platforms does have it. Sadly though, the PC version doesn't have the option for co-op play, because unfortunately you're gonna have to deal with this really bad AI, which, you know, you have to take control of Oswald. So either way though, or Oswald, yeah, I think I'm trying to pronounce that correctly. So, but even then though, because again, it has been such a long time since I actually looked upon the forms of Epic Mickey stuff, because honestly, it's just the fact of the matter is though, is I haven't exactly known about this too much until, what I've recently just realized is the fact that that particular game, or the first game I should say, on the Nintendo Wii, it'll become a decade old. Which, either way though, specifically the UK version, as well as the European version, and fundamentally speaking, oh wait, Australia got it first, surprisingly enough, and Japan though, however though, they did manage to get the game quite late, during the forms of, let's just say, in August the 4th, in 2011, which I'm felt kind of surprised about this, especially how, I just have no idea why they tend to able to make the game, well, quite late, potentially speaking, so... Anyway though, and I do apologize for that particular, you know, belginess at the moment, just because, well, I was going to explain some specific details I'd like to point out, but either way though, that's just how it goes basically, so... Anyway though, I really do like the actual background of this particular environment. Obviously, as you can tell, it's obviously the forms of the actual third world, which is of course Laughing Prison, so we're gonna be stuck in that particular prison until whenever we're completely done with, you know, the next two levels. Because as you can tell, that we now completed Vision 3-4, so not too shabby right there. And plus, we've only got 10 lives so far, so I think we are actually doing pretty decently. So either way though, we could expect to able to actually just to complete this world just throughout in certain points. So God knows how long this will take, but either way though, we'll have to wait and see what happens during at some point by the end of the video, if depending if my semi-blindness is involved. So, but I digress. So yeah, that's as far as I can try to say in terms of the forms of some stuff I like to discuss upon. Although, potentially speaking of such, as far as I've noticed, speaking of Epic Mickey 2, the power of 2, relatively speaking, it's the fact that obviously it obviously came out on North America, as well as Australia, and even Europe, essentially. Well, usually because of that, though, strangely enough, it's the fact that the Japanese release of the game did manage to able to only receive it on Nintendo's platforms, to be more specifically, the Nintendo Wii and the Wii U. So they just managed to, the Japanese did manage to ignore the release of the PlayStation 3, as well as the Xbox 360 versions, and even the PlayStation Vita version, don't forget as well. So, it seems kind of strange for able to actually just to notice something like this, but either way though, in fact, let me know in the comments below of what Epic Mickey game you do prefer. You prefer either the first game on the Nintendo Wii, or prefer the second game, or the Power of Illusion, which I think to me the Power of Illusion on the 3DS is actually not too bad in my opinion. Sure, there are some backtracking problems here and there, but at least I did manage to enjoy some bits about it. So, but either way though, but let's just say this right now, that we probably might be able to enjoy the first game a bit more than the sequel, because, well, again, because the actual, the AI is programmed so poorly, because sometimes you never know of when the AI is going to able to help you, or anything else like that. Oh yeah, talking of which actually, is the fact that obviously the Wii version is definitely more superior for Epic Mickey 2, just because it's pretty obvious because of the exact same controls as the original game. However though, ignore the Wii U version because of the frame rate issues, and also the Vita version for its unnecessary platform choice or something, which, as far as I can gather, is that the Vita version is probably one of the worst versions of Epic Mickey 2, so, but that's how it goes basically. So either way, but also as far as I've noticed something is that originally Epic Mickey 3 was going to be planned to be on the third and the final part of the Epic Mickey trilogy, but usually relatively speaking, Epic Mickey 2 did some really poor sales, and as far as I'm aware, Junction Point Studios is closed on January 29th of 2013, after the cancellation of the third game. So because of this though, and also the Disney Interactive Studios is, well, closed during May 2016. So yeah, that seems a little bit, well, kind of art for the actual stories like this, especially how we've only got 3 Epic Mickey games, despite the 3rd game does not actually get development because of it was cancelled, because of Junction Point did manage to close off, so... Whew-wee, that's a lot of discussion I have to say about this point, guys. I really will be. So, and also, similarly, is that until at some point during next month as well, you know, with Sonic Colors for the Nintendo Wii, as well as the Nintendo DS versions as well, basically those 2 games, or to be more specifically Sonic Colors in general, will also become a decade old. And also similarly is, of course, Sonic Free Riders, which is the only Sonic game to be supported on Kinect, which, please, for the love of God, port it over to, let's just say, the PlayStation 4, although I don't know about that, because obviously my storage on my PlayStation 4 is almost gonna fill up at this point, but please, I beg of you, port it over to the Nintendo Switch, and hopefully I should be able to enjoy the game a lot better. To be more specifically, with the controller, and able to enjoy Sonic Free Riders properly, not so much to deal with this motion controls your entire body syndrome, which... oh boy, how do I even explain that? Although I did heard about it, it's actually pretty bad. Like, seriously bad. But I digress. But nowhere near as bad to me, though, as that dreadful Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric for the Wii U, because, well, usually relatively speaking, speaking of bad games potentially, recently I managed to able to go back into Sonic the Hedgehog 2006, in this case Sonic 06, what most people call it. Basically, I'm up to the point where I've recently completed not only, well, as far as that Mario and Luigi has already mentioned about this already, that they've obviously accomplished the Sonic story, but now I've recently completed the Shadow story. So, even though I accept the fact that I probably need to get back into Shadow's episode due to, well, some several town missions I have to able to accomplish. And also is the fact that with the Soliano silver medals I have to grind through, that will take me a lot of able to actually get a lot of opportunities to able to actually do those kinds of stuff. So, and yeah, the only thing I need to do now is of course the silver story, and eventually we'll able to actually end up on the last story segment. So, but then again though, it's nothing like the forms of Shadow the Hedgehog one was, because in new forms of Shadow the Hedgehog, you have to do the ridiculous amount of replays on that game. Specifically, if you really want to go through like, you have to go for 10 endings in order to unlock the last story segment, and that was just like, that's just way too tedious, man. That's just way too tedious. So... but I digress. And hopefully, by that time, once I finish up with Sonic 06, I think I should probably able to go back into the forms of Sonic Unleashed for the Xbox 360, so that way I can able to get those achievements again, except now on the new, well, Xbox 360 Slim hardware. So, as far as I'm aware, is the fact that the only games I no longer have anymore for the Xbox 360, which there were obviously the forms of Mortal Kombat for the Xbox 360, you know, with the 9th installment game. I no longer have that on the 360, so instead I managed to get it on the PlayStation Vita, because, well, just to make it a little bit obvious, because I can play that game on the go, despite it was actually gorily violent, which, either way though, I'm sure that most people already know what I'm talking about, but at least I do enjoy it nonetheless. And, also, I no longer have myself Halo Reach. Well, at least I've heard about the Halo series, but I've never actually played most of them. So I must admit that I do apologize for the actual, well, not actually played that much of Halo these days, just because, well, I definitely heard of it, but I've never actually played them. So, either way though, that's all I can say about it. And also, I no longer have myself, let's just say, Topspin 2, because, well, I just have no idea what that game is about. I get it, it's a, obviously a table tennis game, but I've never actually played it properly, so I have no comments on that. And also, I no longer have myself Ninja Gaiden 2, although I definitely heard of it, but I have played it, but I've never actually got far into it, just because, I'm pretty sure the camera just sometimes screwed me up, so... Well, to be more specifically, the controlling the camera with the actual game controller and stuff like that. And, also, I no longer have myself Street Fighter 4 on the Xbox 360. I was planning to get that game on the PlayStation 3 to make it a little bit more of a the better way of playing the game for me. Although, the only thing is though, I think I should probably try to get Ultra Street Fighter 4 because it has every single DLC included. So, hopefully I might try my best to able to actually just to get that. And, also, what else do I no longer have? Oh yeah, in terms of Soul Calibur series, well to be more specifically, Soul Calibur 4, I have played a bit, long time ago actually, and for whatever reason, I just don't know why I just managed to quit that. Although, I would like to able to get that game, along with Soul Calibur 5, for the Xbox 360 of platforms and stuff like that, so that way I can able to get my invested for the Soul Calibur series, along with Soul Calibur 3 for the PlayStation 2. And even, well, because of that though, we've already got ourselves Soul Calibur 1 for the Sega Dreamcast, and also the same applies to the second game, most notably on the Nintendo GameCube version because of, well, obviously has Link as a playable character from the Legend of Zelda series. And also, I've been meaning to plan to get the PlayStation 2 version of Soul Calibur 2 because it actually contains, you know, a different guest character, and, also, it's the fact that the Xbox version also has a different guest character as well. So I'm also able to actually just try to get 2 other versions of Soul Calibur 2, despite it plays exactly the same, except, well, you get yourselves a different guest character after all. So, oh yeah, I should probably point things out right away. Select that second option, as you can see on screen. Now if you try to pause the actual game, and then if you select the second option right there, what's handy about this is that this option allows you to able to restart the entire room again, except the fact that, well, you can able to try this again. So even then though, a pretty useful tool I have to say. And thankfully though, it doesn't encourage you to able to lose your extra lives, thankfully. So at least you can able to just, well, just trying to able to solve this room multiple times if you keep on screwing up. So, that's nice I guess, especially noticeable how the fact that how useful it is. So, anyways, let's toss that cube over there, and hopefully we'll try to climb up, or just try to reach up there, even though it doesn't work like that, but at least we can able to jump from there to there, and that way we can able to grab the final 5 crystals, and that way we'll be good to go in terms of Vision 3-5. So, but then again though, I think to me, Wall 3 kind of feels a bit longer in comparison to Vision 2, or even especially noticeable with Vision 1, even to be more specifically for those worlds, mind you. But either way though, it's just the fact of the matter is though, it's just that it does take me a lot of hours to able to actually solve as many puzzles as I could. But that's how it goes basically in terms of this Let's Play at this point, folks. So, anyway, so now we're done with that, and let's go ahead and save our game quickly. And we reach up for about 11 extra lives, so that seems pretty cool all in all. Oh right, we got ourselves some sort of an animation going on in the background, which as you can see, some of these laughing faces are now start blinking. And because of that though, I'm pretty sure it's only apparent in junior forms of this particular level. So I'm guessing that makes it pretty obvious for the sake of points worth noting for. But again, it has been such a long while since I actually did manage to play more on, you know, Klonoa stuff. So, but I digress. As far as other things I'd like to discuss upon, to be honest with you, I have no words to say because, well, obviously I've already mentioned quite a number of things from the likes of for the sake of this part right here. Although, keep that in mind though, is the fact that, well, again, I've only just managed to finally get back into this after a long-awaited hiatus for quite some time. In fact, the last time I actually did manage to touch upon this game was actually, I would say since September, just because of how the fact that, well, as far as you guys should probably already know, that definitely has recently managed to able to work on no, Super Monkey Ball 2, which that's the reason why I told him to able to do Super Monkey Ball 2 for the time being, because otherwise I'm gonna have to do a lot of, like, I repeat, a lot of editing work for the sake of the forms of this game, because, again, that's the reason why it's been so long since I actually did manage to come back to this game specifically. Despite the fact that we haven't got that much views for the sake of this Let's Play, just because I'm pretty sure it's because of how the fact that nobody heard about this game or something, although I may be wrong. But then again, no, it's just a bit of a coincidence anyway, so I apologize if you can hear the background noise you'd be hearing, just because these dogs keep on barking. So either way, though, I must admit that I do apologize for that particular background noise you'd be hearing, so, but I digress. Shut up! Anyway, sorry about that, folks. Anyway, shut up! Thank you. Anyway, yeah, because as you can tell, basically I'm just gonna have to concentrate on this very pretty tricky puzzle solving right here. So, yeah, I'm presuming that much like World 1, I'm presuming, basically, this is the only world, along with World 1, only contains one vertical stage, and the majority of some of these other stages are basically horizontal. So, because I'm pretty sure, unlike World something, that, again, it has been a very long while since I actually did manage to come back into this game specifically, and because of that, though, there's not much else I can just try to able to speak about it. Although, yeah, I think, unlike in World 2, it does contain, two vertical levels, and then the majority of 4 other levels in World 2 contains like a horizontal position. So either way though, yeah, I just want to classify that for the sake of this info, for the sake of some of the other, I don't know. So yeah, you probably get the idea of how the actual thing's gonna turn out to be. So anyways though, so yeah, I think I might as well keep on retrying this room again, and thankfully, after multiple researches online, I'm gonna have to able to look up on guides or something, because again, as I said before, it's a semi-blind playthrough, so because of that though, I must admit though, it's because of how the fact that it's well, you get the idea. I do apologize for the lack of commentary itself as well, because again, it has been a long while since actually coming back to this, so oh boy. There's going to be a lot of emphasis on that, as far as I like to say. Oh yeah, I forgot about these particular very weird looking cubes, as you can see, that we did manage to sometimes manage to shove over at some point. You know, with the forms of that greedy look over there. Basically, unlike those particular cubes, as I was carrying one right now, basically you can able to actually pick them up, like those cubes, as I just managed to pick up. You can able to actually use the exact same function as you can probably already did for any other enemies for that matter. However though, the biggest difference is now is that since we've now come across into those new types of cubes, the one with it has like some sort of like a creepy look, you can't carry it, instead you're gonna have to able to push it. So yeah, it seems a little bit different from the likes of how it does it on any other cubes that we have already come across into. So, but either way though, I can't wait to see how that's gonna turn out. Until whenever we get on to Vision World 4, during at some point in tomorrow. So yeah, I think I should probably able to discuss more about that until whenever we get on to tomorrow's video, because, well, again, during this process of the editing stuff for this particular game so far, it actually took me a lot of hours to able to actually get this set up right, so anyway, so let's shove over for this cube over there, and then trying to climb back up, and hopefully we would be able to try to solve this puzzle out. Oh yeah, quite frankly though, is the fact that whenever we decide to able to do the majority of the Klonoa Let's Plays in the future, thankfully though, for the majority of the games can be easily be recorded during the forms of our capture device, which is a kind of a good thing, especially noticeable that unlike recently, Maxi has already finished up his Let's Play of Super Monkey Ball 3D for the 3DS. The only questionable thing about it is that he obviously has to record it from the iPhone camera as opposed to the 3DS capture device. Although originally we weren't going to use the emulator for the 3DS for that, but I think the problem with that is that our laptop doesn't like doing that. So because of that though, unfortunately though, we can't find a better setup for Super Monkey Ball 3D, so we're just gonna have to leave it as it is. So, and also similarly, whenever we move on to Super Monkey Ball Banana Splits eventually, I think that particular game's Let's Play wise will also not be involved with the capture device, sadly. So yeah, that's how it goes, basically, for the sake of the actual recording setups. So, anyway, I think we still need to get ourselves the triangular-shaped key, so hopefully we should be able to try to find that as soon as we possibly can think of. Although, kind of thinking about it, though, is the fact that since we're going to be looking for the circle-shaped key, as well as any other keys for that matter, most notably with the cross-formation key, as well as the triangle key, and even especially noticeable with the square key as well. Does those four symbols look familiar to you? Well, you see what I mean. Well, I'm pretty sure in one of those levels that we've already done, that usually has a lot of emphasis on, you know, key finding and stuff like that. Well, turns out that particular key itself might be familiar to you because it's almost the exact same button icons as the PlayStation controller. To be more specifically, 4-face buttons, which are obviously the triangle button, as well as the square button, the circle button, and the X button. So, yeah, it does look familiar, doesn't it? In fact, let me just retry that particular room again, just because, again, not exactly sure how this works, even for this puzzle room or something. So, I was able to try that on the first attempt, but most of the time I keep screwing up. But, again, if you screw that one puzzle up, although there are two alternate ways you can do that. You can either leave the room and go back into that same room again and try again, or you can able to actually pause the game and select the second option, and that way you can able to retry it that way. So, I'm not exactly sure what the actual translation was for the actual pausing screen, so, but I must admit though, because I do not understand Japanese that much, so, yeah, I must admit that I do apologize for that particular stuff like this. So, anyway though, another thing I want to point out as well, as far as I'm surprisingly enough, is that, somehow Klonoa, or Casino Klonoa, Moonlight Museum, also get themselves the actual special bundle with the actual, Bandai WonderSwan console itself, which, it does look pretty cool looking. Like, obviously I think it comes with, blue WonderSwan handheld, or something like that. So, I'm guessing that makes it pretty obvious for that specific points noting for. Although, I'm pretty dang sure that, usually, it does come with, the game, obviously. In addition to that, the Bandai WonderSwan, but it's actually in mono, as opposed to, stereo. So, but either way though, because of that though, that's all I could really just try to think about this for the sake of, any other mentionings I would like to point out. So, anyway, so as you can tell, that since we actually grab every single crystals at this point right now, and now all we need to do now is just basically we're gonna have to able to complete the actual level itself. So, hopefully it shouldn't take too long, but at the same time, yeah, I just got stuck right there. So, hopefully we'll try that again, and hopefully for a much more better attempt. So, hey, because trust me, whenever we get onto these uploading schedules of this in the majority of the weekends, if depending on the, you know, how long these levels will take, and basically most of the time there's going to be a lot of emphasis on trial and error, so I'm guessing that I seem to able to get screwed over again. So, yeah, because I was going to able to try to go after the last, little stone collectible, which, unfortunately for me, I somehow got screwed over. So hopefully, I don't know how many attempts this took me, but even then, because I actually lost count, because I actually got distracted by the forms of a lot of conversations about, you know, any other stuff in general, specifically with Epic Mickey series, of what happened to the actual series, and, that's as far as I can say, really. So anyways, now let's grab this little stone gem, and hopefully we should probably get out of there. Especially noticeable how the fact that, well, at this point in time, it's the fact that we pretty much at the halfway point of the game as for this point right now. So, yeah, because of that though, that Wall 3 will be completed by then, so... But then again though, nothing to do with the forms of certain boss fights as far as I'm aware. So, I guess that makes it pretty obvious. So, anyways, let's hit into this door. And, well, Wall 3 has been completed. So, let's fill up the entire picture. It does look pretty creepy though. It's almost like you ended up trapped during the forms of got possessed by those creepy, laughter faces all over the prison. So, anyway though, so it looks like that now that Klonoa and Hupo is going to investigate on things, so we got the endings off here. So join me next time on Let's Play Casino Klonoa, Moonlight Museum. It's the fact that we are about to be moving on to World 4, so this might be pretty interesting. So I'll see you guys until tomorrow. Later, fellas.